What's up guys, it's Andrew at Motorcycles Off-Road, and in this video I would like to do a comparison between the WR250 and the Honda CRF 300L. Now how we got here is when I first, let's say July of last year, I had 1,000 subscribers. And now fast forward less than a year and a half later, I have 15,000 subscribers. So I get a lot of comments of people asking me in my comparison videos or my reviews to check out this bike or that bike, but I've actually already did a lot of these bikes. So I just want to make a quick refresher video for the new 13,000, 12,000 subscribers since the last time I did a video like this. Now, of course, this is going to be a short to the numbers video. Now, if you want to watch the full review, you're welcome to do that. I will pin that in the first comment below as well as at the top here as far as a card. Okay, so when we're talking about the WR250, it's a fantastic motorcycle, and I'd like to give a little backstory. The backstory is I used to own one myself. I sold it in favor for my DR350 SE, which I loved. And now, I ride the Honda 300L, KDX 200, Tenere 700, and now the Honda 300L Rally. So my comparison in a nutshell, the WR was a really advanced bike for its time. When it first came out, it was competing against stuff like the DRZ 400, which, give or take, I think the WR is probably maybe a little bit better bike than that, depending on what your actual goals are. If you're looking for more single track, you go for the WR. Maybe long range ADV type stuff, you might go for the DRZ. But overall, it had fuel injection, 6-speed transmission. And I say had because a lot of people say, oh, it's the best bike on the market. But in fact, it's not on the market anymore, and it hasn't been for a couple years. So that's something to take into consideration. Every one you buy now is going to be used. And short of a whole top to bottom restoration, you're never getting a new motorcycle. Now I feel when it starts to come to the time that now we're in 2022, about to be 23, when we compare these motorcycles together, you also have to take in consideration the 300L, the KLX 300, stuff like that, more modern motorcycles. Maybe even if you're looking for an adventure bike, you might even consider the KTM 390 Adventure R. Like, that's a cool bike too. So you really have to think about in that price range what you're going to buy. Now, I say in price range, I like to compare these bikes new. The WR comes at a much higher price tag than the Honda. The Honda is a very cheap, economical motorcycle, and that comes with its fuel economy all the way down to the price out the door. Now, of course, the WR has better suspension. That's one thing the WR guys will tell you, and that is true. It does have better suspension, but for me, I am a 240-pound guy, so just like with the KLX, for either the Honda or the WR, I'm probably going to do the suspension either way. Now, if you do the suspension, ECU, etc., you can actually get the Honda, in my opinion, a much better offering at same or lower price than the WR250R. That being said, the other thing the WR people will tell you is that it's so much lighter. In fact, it's 295 pounds wet. The Honda is 308, 309 pounds wet. I weighed mine. I actually have a video where I picked it up with a forklift with a weight to actually see how much it was, to be sure. And that's full of gas, everything like that. And the Honda, it's easy to get it down to the WR's weight. You swap out the battery for a lithium ion. You change out the rear sprocket. That's 2 pounds right there. So, but anyway, let's say stock to stock, both of these motorcycles are only 5% difference. And you cannot feel the weight. And in fact, I've mentioned it before, and other YouTubers have in their video, the Honda being 14 pounds heavier, not like 5 kilograms. It feels lighter. The Honda feels lighter overall. And this is due just because the Honda is more balanced. It's made in a different time period, 20 years later, and the technology for research and development is just so much better for making a motorcycle more balanced for trail riding and stuff like this. Just moving parts around and, shaving down the swing arm, stuff like that. Now, when it comes to the WR, a lot of people like the high-end horsepower, and that feels good, that's great. But let's actually look at some dyno results with rear wheel actual results. And we'll compare the two, and I'll tell you why I feel that the WR wasn't for me, and for a lot of people, it's just not the bike for them. Alright, the two dyno charts I was able to find, one was from dualsportsalchemy.com, and let's see, they have a result of 22.5 horsepower at 8,000 and 9,000 RPMs. We can look at that chart there. And then also motorcycles.com, they did the 250X, and they were able to get a 26.8 horsepower at 8,700 RPMs. Now if we go to 550 Performance, dyno results for the 300L, you will see that at max horsepower is 26.68 of the 300L, and that's stock, and 19.76 pounds of torque. Major problem with the WR is it just never feels like it has that torque. And if you go back to either of these results, let's say we want to be generous and we'll instead of aggregating the two, we'll take the highest one. And that was from motorcycles.com, which gives it 26.8 because they're using the WR250X. If you look at your torque numbers, now I would argue that when you're riding off-road and you're riding single trail and you're doing these type of things, you're generally around somewhere around 4,000 to 6,000 RPMs. You're not usually reaming the bike out to 9,000 RPMs, which is where the WR has its power. But beyond all that, let's look at our torque numbers. Let's look at our torque numbers for our 5,000 to 5,500 RPMs. Okay, and at that point, the WR is producing shy of 15 pounds of torque. We're looking at something like 14 foot-pounds. 14 foot-pounds of torque at 5,000 RPMs, where in single track, that's probably where you're going to be sitting. Now, when you go to the 550 performance and you look at the Honda 300L, and it's such more usable power in my opinion, at 5,500 RPMs, 6,000 RPMs, you're sitting at the peak of torque, which is 1976, which almost 20 foot-pounds of torque, and that's unmodified. And keep in mind, this bike is so much less expensive. So if you do get an exhaust for $200, and then you get the ECU modification here in America, I think Europe uses a different one, but let's say you do, it still puts you way under the WR's price tag. You're looking at 21 foot-pounds of torque. That's a good increase, another 10-15% of torque, and you feel it at that rev range. The horsepower is more dramatic, which 28.87 horsepower, and that's at peak, and that's just shy of where the WR reaches its horsepower. So that's if you need to, accelerate down a long stretch of path. So in my opinion, that the power of the 300L is so much more usable than the WR, and if anything, these dyno results from third-party testers should prove that to you. The Honda has a slightly lower seat height, which that's preferable for a lot of short riders or new riders. That's good. And the Honda also comes in a rally version, which I ride now and I think is fantastic. Another thing to consider is the use of fuel. The Honda is the best in its whole class at 74 miles per gallon, where the WR is at 59. WR has a 2-gallon tank. The Honda has a 2.1 gallon. The Honda, you can get much more range out of your motorcycle than you can with the WR. A lot of the WR guys either have a bigger tank, which put the weight back up to where the Honda is, or you'll see a Rotopacks on the back, which to the same effect. A gallon of fuel is somewhere between 6 or 8 pounds, 3 to 4 kg roughly. So all in all, if you add the extra fuel capacity to keep up to the range of the Honda, these bikes are basically identical in weight. And then the Honda still feels lighter. The Honda also has, in my opinion, a better transmission. I like the closed 1 through 5 and the extended 6, where the WR has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I also like the Honda's dash, superior in all of these bikes. Honda just has the best dash, fuel indicator, everything. RPMs, everything in there is great. I go into much more depth about the engine, the bore, the stroke, and all this stuff in the original video. If you would like to check that out, like I said, I will have a pin below, or you can go to the cards. And, you can really see the clash of these two motorcycles. My favorite color is blue, by the way, so I'm kind of partial for the Yamaha. And that's why my Tenere looks the way it does, but I'm still waiting, Yamaha. Bring me something good. WR is a fantastic bike. It was a fantastic bike for its time, but I just don't feel like it's ready for today's market, and that's probably why Yamaha also saw that and took it off the market. Now, when Yamaha comes back, I'm really excited for a WR300 or a WR350, whatever they come back. I would love to see something like that. I mean, if Yamaha can make even like a WR330, let's say, just make it a bit edge, and I'm talking like 329 cc's, 330 cc's, and you'd be able to blow these numbers away. It puts you in a sweet spot of like 32 horsepower, 35 horsepower, torque up in the numbers of 25. That will be the best bike. Especially, you could price it even $500 more than the WR, and I'll still own that bike. I guarantee you that when they put out their next motorcycle, if it's anything close to like the Tenere is that I love, the engineering that went into that bike, I will own that motorcycle, and I'll be testing it here for you guys. But as it stands currently, I do not think that the WR is the best option on the market, and that's just my opinion. And now you've heard my reasoning, so you can take it how you take it. If you don't like it, well, that's okay. We can disagree. That's what this is all about, right? Just finding information. And as this video concludes, I'd like to thank my patrons. These are the guys who get the extra content. They're putting faith in me making these videos, and I think that's awesome. And I'm grateful for these guys There are the guys that are enable me to move forward and to buy more equipment, more testing. It's just a wonderful thing that people are willing to trust me to make content for them. If you'd like to check out the Patreon, I'd be greatly appreciative. I got tons of free content there. And beyond that, if you become a patron subscriber, you do see my modifications, drone shots, stuff we're getting into, all this stuff. So guys, just check it out, even for the free stuff. Well, Happy New Year, guys. We're about to be in 2023. Or you might see this video in 2023, maybe. So I'll talk to you guys next time. And remember, I don't care what motorcycle you have. If you're throwing your leg over that bike, I have respect for you. This is a small niche hobby, and I love all you guys, and I support all you guys. My name is Andrew. This is Motorcycles Off-Road. Thanks for watching, guys.